and quality you can see. Visit us on the web at www.steelrubber.com or call us at 800-447-0849. And remember, if you want the best, you want Steel Rubber products.
It's the PM Show Weekend Edition on CRN Digital Talk Radio. Once again, the star of our show, Fred Dreyer.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Shapiro is the best-selling author, and he's written a terrific book, Bullies, How the Left's Culture of Fear and Intimidation Silences America. We have him with us on the show. Ben, how are you?
Welcome, Ben.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. You know, I've got your book here and I've read it, and it is chock full of great narrative. And when I was reading it, I kept thinking to myself, why didn't this come out last summer? You know, why couldn't we have had this come out for last summer? You know, and it's just great, and it's very refreshing, certainly to read stuff like this, and there's not enough of it. What inspires you to do so?
Well, I mean, actually, it would have been hard to write it last summer because part of what inspired it was the election cycle. I mean, watching what the media did, it was the most egregious case of media malpractice combined with the top-down dictation from an administration that certainly I've ever seen in my lifetime. It is truly incredible to watch the length to which the left will go.
Yes, it really is amazing what's going on in this country. You know, we are in fact smack dab in the crested wave of a mediaocracy that is absolutely telling you 2 and 2 is 5, and people are believing it. That's what's shocking to me. You know,
it is shocking, and they are believing it. And why wouldn't they believe it? I mean, honestly, because here's the thing: the arguments that the media makes, the arguments that the left makes, and this is the point of the book, is really they're not making policy arguments. This election was not about policy. The reason that Republicans lost this election was because basically Mitt Romney was arguing the following about Barack Obama. Barack Obama, nice guy, good family man, believes in the Constitution, believes in the Declaration of Independence, just not a very good president. And Barack Obama was arguing this about Mitt Romney. Worst guy since Stalin, forcibly cuts gay kids' hair, straps dogs to the top of his car, has binders full of women because he hates them, he's going to put it all back in chains. He fires employees specifically so that their wives will later die of cancer. This was the picture that was being painted of Mitt Romney. So if you're coming at this election not knowing much about policy, because not a lot of policy got discussed, the impression that you're going to get is that you have one guy who's basically evil and one guy who is good but not great at his job. Who do you think you're going to vote for? And the problem was this. Because Mitt Romney treated Obama with such civility, because he decided to characterize him as a nice guy who's just not good at his job, what he's really saying is that this reasonable person over here, you know, this guy Obama, he's very reasonable. That reasonable person is calling me, you know, a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe. So what that really means is that it's reasonable to call me a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, which means I'm a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe.
Yeah,
this is why we keep losing the battle.
Yeah, you know what's really interesting about that is that the machinery, we call it the great grinding wheel of progressive liberalism. That's what's been going on since the turn of the century. You know, it came in with the bully pulpit, and then it went into they gave it a real good shot here with the United Nations with Woodrow Wilson, and they kind of tempered out and evened out. But with the muscular media, especially MSNBC and NBC and Jeffrey Immelt and all these people who have failed in the ratings department, have taken George Soros's money and have gone to the Democratic Party and said, let us be your delivery system of all these lies and this propaganda. You know, we always talk about how what is not being discussed is the true definition of propaganda. You know, and so when you hear all of the stuff that you have in your book, when you see all of the business model, as it were, of what is going on in liberalism today, it is maddening to see what the GOP is not doing. The GOP is not with it. They don't even know what the narrative is.
Well, they're not paying attention. And they think that we're still living in 1950 when the other side was at least moderately civil, and they don't recognize that they're living in an era where the other side doubts their very intentions. I think they're starting to figure it out. I think, thank God, I think the book has made enough of a difference. Enough decision makers are reading it that they're realizing that this is sort of, they're starting to mirror the language of it. They're recognizing that what the left wants to do is bully the living hell out of us and prevent us from speaking on these issues by attacking our character.
Yeah.
And this is what Piers Morgan does. This is what Obama does. When Obama, on immigration, his entire speech yesterday was designed specifically and solely to make it look as though Republicans hate brown people. That's what that was about. That's why he flew out to a high school that was full of Hispanic kids. That's why at the end of his speech he said, we're going to get emotional here. This debate's going to get emotional, and I promise you that when it does, these people, they're gonna start thinking about the divisions between us and them. That what that was it was a closeted way for Obama to say, by the way, those guys that you're looking at over there, they're racist. And why are they racist? Because they disagree with me on policy.
Yeah, we're talking with Ben Shapiro, national best-selling author of his book Bullies: How the Left's Culture of Fear and Intimidation Silences America. It also silences the Republican Party. That's what's really interesting to me, is that it was shocking to me, Ben, was how many front page Republicans at the national and the state level are being held hostage by sound bites from the New York Times, by the mediocrity, by the grinding wheel of self-destruction, by a really rotten, terrible Democratic Party that absolutely steps up with all impunity and all indemnity from the news services. You saw it this last weekend when they were talking with Hillary Clinton, and Hillary was just boldly telling people, "Who cares what happened? Who cares what happened? We got 4 dead people. Why go into it? Why try to figure it out? Let's move forward." And the press isn't calling her out on anything. They're letting all these people slide. They're letting everybody slide. They're going to rewash her. And they're going to rewash John Kerry, and they're going to rewash this Joe Biden guy, and they're going to refoist them onto the public in the next 2 to 4 years. And it doesn't make any difference what anybody does anymore. It's the rebranding of what is truthful and what is evil. And
it is. It certainly is. But there is a way to fight it. Now, the way to fight it is not to just point out that they're lying. The way to fight that is to stop giving the patina of objectivity to the media. That's our fault. They can't appear objective unless the right allows them to appear objective. Because let's say that there was a mass boycott, for example, by Republicans on the Sunday shows, and all of a sudden the only people appearing on the Sunday shows were a bunch of Democrats. It would be pretty obvious to everybody that you were only hearing one side of the story. And yet we continue to foster this patina of objectivity. How in the world is George Stephanopoulos moderating a Republican debate? I mean, it's nuts.
Exactly.
And what we need to be doing, I said this the other day to somebody. They asked, what's the point then of doing interviews with the leftist media? And the only purpose of doing interviews with the left media is to destroy them. That is the only purpose. When we go on George Stephanopoulos, it's fine. You can go on George Stephanopoulos. But every interview with George Stephanopoulos, with somebody on the right, should lead off like this. George, thanks so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad to be here. George, before we start, I just want to point something out. You portray yourself as an objective journalist. You were a Clinton war room guy. You're somebody who takes talking points from the Obama administration. You're from the left. So that's all fine. It's fine. But if you were going to have this discussion and I start questioning the premises of your questions, it's not because I'm being combative. It's just because I'm trying to establish that I am the conservative and you are the liberal, and we are at odds here.
Yeah, that's a start, but we got a long way to go with the GOP. Can you hold on for another segment, Ben?
Sure.
Okay.
George Stephanopoulos, that's the guy that mistakes Morgan Freeman or Bill Russell for Morgan Freeman, I guess, objective reporter that he is.
And it doesn't make any difference because they just make it up.
I guess they all kind of look
make it up as
similar
they
when
go.
he sees them
they
out
make
in the
it up as
crowd.
they go. We're going to come back with Ben Shapiro, so please don't go away.
It's the PM Show Weekend Edition, the one and only Fred Dreyer on CRN Digital Talk Radio.